Hello and welcome to Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. I'm Jasmine, your host, and I want to thank you, everybody who is listening to these conversations. I hope that they are contributing to um, your soul, your spirit, I'm hoping that it's helping you this way because these conversations are not an intellectual conversations. They are not intellectual. We are talking straight to your spirit, people, and we hope that it's reaching. And today I have, okay, guys, get ready. So I have Jacqueline Hollows, J.B.Hollows, I have Mama J. I have all three with me. Hi, Mama J. How you doing?
Hi, Jasmine. I'm good, thank you. Apart from my split personality problem.
Well, guys, the reason why I'm giving you all of these names is because Jacqueline is prolific. She's a busy lady and she's doing a lot of things. And so when you want to look at her books, you're going to have to look for J.B.Hollows, right? If they want to see your books.
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing is that if someone searches on Google for Jacqueline Hollows, they'll find everything. So
There you go. Fantastic. So, do you want to like take a little bit of time to explain to people, where you are and what you're doing right now? Now, a few weeks ago, we had Derek, who's also in Beyond Recovery, that was with us. So you're in Beyond Recovery. Are you the owner of Beyond Recovery?
I'm the founder, yes.
Yeah, the founder. Okay. So just tell us a little bit, about you.
So I'm so happy to be here and thank you everyone for listening. I am Jacqueline Hollows and I spent most of my life in IT and project management, and that's where all my qualifications were. And a few things changed about 10 years ago, and I found that I needed to reinvent myself. And I did. I trained as a life coach. I did counseling training, NLP training. I did all these different modalities, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And during that time, I was coaching people, but I also met somebody who had addiction, a lifelong addiction to heroin, and had been in and out of prison. I ended up volunteering, helping him in his new business, helping him in his studies. And I met loads of people in the same position, and I loved them. They were the most inspiring people I'd ever met. And I felt like I'd come home and that I'd met my people.
Mm-hmm.
And so fast forward, I ended up starting a social enterprise, a non-profit business to work with people with addiction issues of all sorts: gambling, drugs, alcohol, sex, food, shopping, the lot. And then that led to starting to work in the UK prison system and delivering programs in there. And I was friends with someone who is his name is Jack Pranksky. He's got a research background, and he said, Jacqueline, why don't you make it a research project? And at that time in 2015, there were very little evidencing of the innate health paradigm, the three principles paradigm, the inside out paradigm, whatever you want to refer to it. And so I did. And so alongside my prison work, we were also evidencing and writing research papers. And that all went swimmingly for 5 years. And it was the work of my heart. And then COVID happened and the prisons closed down. And prisoners were locked up for 23 hours a day, and shocking stuff happened. So in the last few years, I've had to reinvent myself again. And now I am still the founder of Beyond Recovery. We work in prisons if that occurs. I still have some of those conversations. We have a buddy scheme where they get distance learning and they get a mentor, and we write to them. We've got a number of volunteers on that. and we do gambling programs, or beyond gambling programs rather. And but at the same time I realized that I had to develop something else outside of that. So as you alluded to, I'm a writer. I have my memoir, my professional confessional, as it's been called, comes out this year, about my journey with beyond recovery in the prison system, and that's called Wing of an Angel. And I'm a mentor, so I set up Mama J's Mentoring Academy. I mentor people. I love working with people who want to do social change and, you know, are soul-centered and heart-centered. So I supervise people who work with other clients. I mentor people as practitioners. And yeah.
So I have a question.
Go on.
When do you sleep?
That's what my husband says. Do you think you're doing too much?
Well, I think that you're just inspired, and like when we're inspired, nothing looks like work, right? It just shows up, and you do what you do.
Yeah.
There's no intellectual thing going, oh, well, I can't do that because then I have this and I have that, and I can't do that because that's taking me time. Like there's this whole busyness in our mind about what we do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm the same. I've got many clients and people are like, well, how do you do it all? I'm just inspired. I'm having fun. I'm literally having fun. When you're
Yeah.
having fun, time flies by.
Yeah.
Time flies by.
Yeah.
So that is great. I'm inspired. I'm happy that you're around. I'm happy that you're doing what you're doing. And yeah, like I can see how, you say you're inspired to work with people who want to do social change. And I'm like, I'm inspired by people who want to do good in the world. And and I want to help people who want to do good in the world. That's basically what I want to do. And it's funny because for a long time, speaking about what I wanted, living the life I wanted, I thought I wanted to be the person who was gonna, change the world. I thought I had to be the one. And I just couldn't find my stepping, like my where is it? Like, okay, am I going to talk about this? Am I going to talk about this? Am I going to help these people? Like I wanted to help everybody, but how do I choose, It was kind of like, so wow, how do I do it? And it would stop me. It would stop the natural flow of life. It would just, like, how life was evolving was not evolving because I was stopped, that it has to be me, until I had the epiphany. Until I had the revelation that, wait, I know tons of people who want to help do good in the world, right? And they don't know how to do it in a business way. They don't have the processes, they don't have the organization. And I'm like, well, I got that, and that's how that started. And I'm now just helping people who want to help people.
Yeah. I love what you point to, Jasmine, because we get stuck with our idea of what it might look like. And that's what, if I find myself stuck, it's because it's not looking the way I thought it would look, So for those 8 years, I was the prison lady. Certainly for 5 years, I was, that's what I did. I trained facilitators because I needed a team, but that was like an aside, that was just like, well, I just need people. And I really believe that to do anything, you have to do stuff. You can't just learn about it or, sit and wait for things. You have to do it. So if you want to be a better writer, you have to write. If you want to run a business, you have to do stuff in a business, etc. And that it drove me, it filled me up. It was everything that I ever wanted, and I never thought that would change. And I talked about, well, if that changes, I'll know, and it changes. but I never thought that would change. So when COVID happened and that changed, and I pivoted, and we did this and we did these other things, I was still attached to that identity. And it was only really last year when I suddenly went, I don't work in prisons. I mean, we've had a little bit of work over the last couple of years, but you can't say I work in prisons. That's not where my living comes from. And that's not what, I used to get up at 6 and be in the prison by 7. And I'm not doing that anymore. And what happened for me was, that wasn't frightening. That was, oh, wow, what do I do then? And it had taken me 2 years to get to that point, from 2020 to 2022, and trying to get back in the prison system, trying to do this, trying to do
Mm.
that. And then I got to that point where I was like, oh, okay, I don't do that anymore. So what do I do? And then, of course, doors start opening, and insight comes, and wisdom, inspiration comes. And I started to go, oh, I could, a little bit like you said, I could work with the people who work in prison. I could train them on our curriculum. It's evidence-based. I could do this, I could do that. And over the last 12 months, then following that, an idea will come, and then seeing, does that have legs? Am I inspired by that? Does it look like hard work? And that's not to say there is not hard work. There is plenty of hard work.
Yes.
There is plenty of stuff that needs to be done. But when it comes from that inspired space, like you said, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like fun. When I'm building new products now, or building my mailing list, or building my website, I'm actually so inspired that it doesn't matter if it takes me hours and days and have to come back to it. And I love that we have that ability to change, and that we can miss it by looking about on our idea of how our lives should look, or our businesses should look.
Yeah. I love you said the word trying.
Mm,
I would love to have your take on trying, because I've been, I don't talk about it as much, but I used to talk about a lot about trying, how there was no trying. And
yeah,
we've all heard that phrase, there's no trying, there's just doing. And I think that it's become intellectual. When we hear it, we kind of roll our eyes, yeah, whatever. But there is no trying.
yeah, absolutely right. And that's, in that sentence, I don't work in prison, that's when I realized, oh, I've just been trying to work in prison, following this and following that, and knocking on the door of this, and coming up with these ideas. But in actual fact, the reality was that none of those things were going anywhere. And so it was trying. For me, it's realizing that if you're trying, then there might be somewhere else to look. So when I'm trying to do something, then there's a missing piece. I'm trying to get my crowdfund off the ground. I've written a book. It's a fortune to publish. Also, if you do a crowdfund, you do all the marketing up front. So there's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of good reasons for doing it. And I've got plans, and I've got this, and I've done a boot camp, and I've done all these things, but have I got it going yet? No. So what I'm coming to see is like, okay, this trying isn't working. So is there a missing piece? Is there something I'm missing here? Is there something I need here? I don't want to keep coming and looking at my flip chart and going, oh yeah, do that. Because I know when I'm inspired, I just do it. So that trying helps me then to see something's wrong with this picture. And it could be that that project has to be scrapped. Or it could be that you don't know something that you need to know, or that you need to speak to someone, or whatever. But the trying alerts me to something's wrong here. You need to take a step back and reflect, and see what's missing or see what you need to do next.
Yeah, I think that the trying is like intellectually based. You know, like the source of the trying comes from your mind, doesn't come from the spirit, doesn't come from the flow of life. It comes from something that you've made up should happen,
Yeah.
right? This should happen, so okay, I'm going to try to do this, you know, instead of just going with the flow. You know what? I have this client, so I've been working with him for a while. And you know, like I do stuff with clients and I do my best to work from spirit and just go like, what's the inspiration? Where's the inspiration? And when I talk to clients, I get goosebumps and I'm like, oh, we're touching something here. Like that like I already know this is goosies. Okay, let's push this. What are we talking about here? Like, you know, it's so exciting. And with this client, I haven't been having the goosies. And yet I'm working my butt off for him. Like I'm doing a lot of work for him and it's just not coming out. And I'm like, how can I do it? So because I kept doing and doing and doing and pushing this and pushing that. And this worked with that person. Let me try. So at one point I kind of settled down and I was like, he is a writing machine. He can send me blogs. I tell him, give me a list of 6 things too. And he's like, and he's like, he's a writing machine. And I had the thought, why don't we have a book? Let's just do a book. So I'm thinking this and I talked to him and I'm like, I think you should do a book. And he's like, you know, and then he finds a new subject and he sends me this new subject and I'm like, oh my God, this is your subject. I got the goosies. I'm like, this is your subject. He says, you know, I can see a book on that. And I'm like, that is so cool. We are having these conversations together. I'm not publishing it out. I'm not talking to anybody. It's me and him. That's it. That's all. On his social media, he is now getting all of these people telling him, write a book. I'm a book producer. Can I help you with your book? And I'm like,
Wow.
What? Where does this come from
Yeah.
when you haven't talked about it at all?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it just amazes me how, like, it was kind of like, I love the co-creation process. I love the co-creation. It's kind of like I say something, the other person says something, our energies merge, it grows. And it's like, when it's coming from that space, I love it. It's like just so cool. But what I saw in that interaction was, it was always my energy, always my energy, always my energy. And he just didn't know what to do. He was in his head. And something clicked for him. And all of a sudden now he's contributing. And now there's this, like, it's just the universe is talking.
Yeah. Yeah. It is so cool. It's so cool because the universe answers. And I was in a training these last 2 days, and one of the questions was, well, you know, it was about a relationship. How do I get to a neutral place so I can say this thing to this person? And I was like, well, that's not how it looks like, because if you're in a neutral place, you might not want to say that thing anyway. You know, it's
That's
like you got to forget your idea of what it looks like and be open, and then the universe answers almost as if it's been waiting for you. And I experienced that in these last 2 days, because I have always been known in this one way. I haven't had to, you know, like, I don't feel like I went out there and went, I'm doing this now. But somehow in my energy, or in my way that I was talking when I was presenting yesterday, but I could tell that people got me in a different way. And then I had someone come up and say, I'm really struggling with this. Like, do you do coaching? Oh, yeah. Oh, are your prices on your website? And I'm really struggling with this. And can you work with this person? And I was like, how does that even work? All I've done is pointed my mind towards something. It feels inspired. I feel energized by it, and then somehow people know about it.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
yeah. You talked about when we were off camera, you were talking about inspired action.
Yeah,
So I think that I would like you to talk a little bit about inspired action because I think that's what we're talking about right now, but I would like us to dig deeper a little bit, like because sometimes people think they are inspired. you know,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
acting and I'm inspired. I am acting.
yeah.
Well, if it's not flowing, then there's something that's not inspired.
Yeah, yeah, there's that, and I hear a lot, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the insight.
Mm.
I'm waiting for the inspiration. I'm waiting till I know more. And um I feel like there's a little bit of a myth that you get calm, or you solve an issue in your life, or you get inspired by something, and then everything will just fall into place, and that's that. You don't have to do anything. And I love Linda Pettit, who says you get intuition and then you have to dig the ditches. And I love that because I see that for myself. So I got intuition about, oh, you're a mentor. Like, people who keep saying you're a mentor, yeah, you're a mentor. I could dig that. And then I'm like inspired, and I do this thing and I do that thing, but I'm digging the ditches. That's the inspired part. But I'm not digging the ditches where I'm not inspired, because that would just be hard work. That would be just like, breaking the rocks and moving the soil. But actually, I'm digging the ditches over here where I've been shown that it's fertile. And I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know what it's going to look like in 6 months, but I know it's fertile. And so I'm really happy to roll up my sleeves and get those things done. And the other part of it is that I feel that the very next step is very simple, very obvious, and you should take it, because you don't know what the fifth step is. And I talk to people who get very in their heads about what it's going to look like, or what their vision is, and the vision is the vision now, with what you know right now. But when you take the next step and the next step and the next step, actually that vision can sometimes change, and you don't mind, because you're moving towards it. So I feel like it's really important to help people take those inspired action steps, and scale back. Some people have a problem with no ideas, and some people have a problem with too many ideas. And
Yeah.
at either end of that spectrum, all they've got to do is actually take the simple next baby step towards their dream, or what they think could be their dream.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because how do you have multiple books, right?
Yeah,
Well, you have to start by writing one,
yeah,
right? And you have to start by having an idea, and then you have to start by okay, am I going to be producing it? Am I going to be self-publishing? Am I going to use it? Like, those are all questions that you're going to ask yourself when you get there. But
yeah,
if you're inspired to write the book, just write the book, right?
yeah,
And then when you have something, it's like, what could I do next? And then see, is it that you need an editor? Okay, go get an editor. See
yeah,
what happens after that. But we can't know. We can't truly know. We can either interact with what we made up, which is what we made up, instead of looking at what actually is.
hmm,
I like this conversation because I'm having, I'm seeing something. So, my father is having some financial misunderstandings. I'm gonna call him that. Like, he's just like, there's things that he's older, he doesn't understand. Why is it that I can't have three banks? No, you can have three banks. It's not a problem. It's just kind of, you have to make sure that if you put the payment on one bank, that the money is in the bank. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, so there's a whole bunch of misunderstanding there. And I have a lot of thinking around money. I have a lot of anxiety. Like I could just go, I don't have any money. Oh my God, I got anxiety. Like I could, I could literally generate it. But I've been working on that for myself this year and really like letting myself feel it because I make up what the feeling means instead of just listening to or just letting myself feel the feeling. And my habit is if I got this feeling, I gotta numb it, avoid it, do anything at all costs to not feel it. So he called me yesterday. He says, you need to come and see me. And I saw that his behavior was different, but I had associated it with something else. So because I associated it with something else, I wasn't really seeing what it was. I was making it up and I wasn't seeing what was there. And yesterday I saw he's actually depressed.
Wow.
I literally saw it. It's like, it's not this. He may think it's this. That's not it. He's depressed. He's got no hope right now. He cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. And and so now I could beat myself up and go, and you've been in your head. You're a 3P practitioner. You shouldn't be in your head. But you know what? I get in my head too. I'm human. So now, like all night, I'm like, and I don't think about it. Like I just want to show up and see. Let me see what's going on, and then listen from there and see what I can do. Let's not plan it. Let's just go see. I know there are possibilities. There are so many things that I can do for him. Let's just I can make it up or I can just go see and deal with the actual thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is less pressure.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm in an I don't know space. I don't know.
I love the I don't know space.
Yeah. Took me a while to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, we have like an addiction to knowing.
Yeah.
To knowing what's next and knowing what to do and knowing how things are going to turn out. And you know, the more that we can look to not knowing, the freer we are. And the freer, the more options become available, the more becomes obvious, and it's so we get so blindsided by that and desire to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing is overrated, people.
Knowing is overrated. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was at this rabbinic training academy the last 2 days, and with Derek on one of the days and with Omar on a couple of the days, 2 guys that I've worked with before that have trained, that have been in prison and then worked in prison. And you know, they're both amazing facilitators and just amazing human beings. And I was there, you know, last night at the graduation celebration with Omar, and I sat there and I was like, do you ever think, and there's all these Jewish people, right, having their Jewish thing going on, and the rabbis, and you know, it was like amazing. And I said, did you ever think that you would be sitting here doing this? And he said, no, absolutely no way. It wasn't even a thought that I could have, you know. And I said, same for me. Like, it's not that because you've been in one place and I've been in another place, I never ever imagined this in my life at all. And here we are, you know, celebrating with them. And I love that as a reminder that who knows what's going to come our way, and when we get out of our own way.
Yeah, I didn't understand, you know, get out of your way. I didn't understand it. You know, people would tell me get out of your way, but I was so attached I think that we had that conversation too. I was so attached to the identity I had created of myself and how I should be and how I should look and how I should act, that there was no freedom in that. I was locked in my own being.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of like make up how we're going to deal with something in the future. We don't know.
Yeah.
We're not going to be the same person. We're not going to have traveled the same thing. It's like how, so if you deal with something like bad right now, it doesn't mean that you're going to deal bad next time,
Yeah.
you know? Very interesting to be able to just be in now, look newly. You know, I do small things like that. I think I've said this in the previous episode. You didn't hear it, so I'm going to tell you. I've been doing that with going to the restaurant. Like when I go to the restaurant, I go to the same restaurants and I eat the same things at the same restaurants. Like, so if I go to this restaurant, this is what I eat. This restaurant, this is what I eat. This restaurant, this is what I eat. And I had a thought. It's like, can you just check if that's what you want? Like, can you sit there and instead of going on auto mode, just sit there, look at the menu, see if anything else calls to you.
Nice.
This little action makes me slow down in other areas that I'm not even noticing that that's what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
So interesting. So guys, slow it down. Just slow it down. Look and see again now. What do you feel like? What do you want? What's coming from here making you go instead of making you go Well, Mama J, this was a great conversation. Thank you for
It
joining.
was very cool. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you to everyone who's listening.
So guys, we've told you in the beginning, if you want anything to do with Jacqueline, you just Jacqueline Hollows and you'll find her. I'm going to put a link of her website on the description also, but you know, if you want to do just a search, go right ahead. Is there anything coming up for you like right now that people may be interested in?
If they're interested in the inspired action and slowing down and so on, I do a free 5-day course. It doesn't have to be done over 5 days. You can take as long as you like. It's about 30 minutes a day. It's self-study. They get video, they get a reflection, but it's very beautiful.
Cool.
And it just might help people point themselves into the direction of what they want and how to take the next inspired step.
Very cool. Guys, check it out. Jacqueline, thank you so much for accepting.
Thank you.
Everybody else, I'm going to say dream it, dare it, do it, live the life you want, and see you next week. Bye.